your first account?
First would be if you have a 401k with a match, start there. That's free money. So if you're getting a 1-to-1 match, for example, that's free money. You got to take it. So you put that into the max, meaning whatever your employer matches, put that much for your 401k. Second, Roth IRA if you're eligible. If you are, fantastic. Third, we can debate, but it's high interest credit card debt. So as you mentioned, if you have 28% debt, pay that off because no investment's going to beat that. Okay. If you still have money left over, you can go and you can do an HSA. And finally, if you still have money left over, it means you have a very high income, open up a taxable account. You can invest as much as you want every month. You know, a lot of people are surprised by that. They did not realize that there's actually no limit to how much you can invest per month. And I'm talking specifically now for high earners. Sometimes they go, oh, I thought my Roth IRA or my IRA had an income limit. Yeah, it does, but you can just open up a regular account and invest as much as you want.
Yeah, and that just means that you're paying taxes on the money, then you put it in, and when you take it out, you have to pay tax.
Yeah, you pay taxes on it.
It's recommended that you max out all of your tax advantage accounts, your Roth IRA, your 401k, first before you then move through to the taxable brokerage account.
So my thinking on this is when people talk about taxes, it's very intimidating. It's very overwhelming. Let me tell you my philosophy on taxes. I think first off, you want to decide on a scale of 1 to 10, how aggressive are you? I told my accountant, if 10 is Al Capone, who's committing tax fraud, I'm a 2. I don't want any of that shit. I want to sleep at night. I would rather overpay. I don't care that the government keeps a little extra interest. I don't care about that. So with establishing that, I'm very conservative on taxes. The second thing that I believe about taxes is you want to take any tax advantage accounts you have, like a 401k, a Roth IRA, HSA, anything you can that's low-hanging fruit, go ahead and do it. Max it out. And then number 3, beyond that, move on. I consider it a gift to be able to pay taxes for a country where I was raised, and I can start a business the way I do. So I have zero problem paying a lot of taxes. For me, it's a gift. Oh my gosh, I'm able to make so much money that I have a large tax bill. Fantastic. And so I never let the tax tail wag the dog, meaning I never start off with a decision to minimize taxes and then build my life around it. I have a rich life, and I will take advantage of any low-hanging fruit for tax minimization, like a 401k. Beyond that, I want to live a rich life, and optimizing taxes has steeply diminishing returns.
Are there any other low-hanging fruit for tax optimization, maybe stuff that you're doing for your kids that might be interesting to share?
If you have a W-2 income, like you have a 9-to-5 job, you have limited tax advantaged accounts. And they're actually quite good, though. I mean, 401k, IRA, there's a variety of pretty good ones. But there's a limit. And people who tend to become frustrated are people who are earning mid-6 figures. So they're making like 200,000 to 600,000. I mean, it's a small amount of people, but they go, well, you know, okay, I contributed like a little bit here and there, but I'm still paying a massive amount of taxes. I get it. The next level of tax advantages would be starting a business. So there's tax advantages for those. Like, there's some minor ones for me, it's fine. There's real estate, which has some tax advantages, although it has costs as well. Same with a business. Like I said, I take advantage of the low-hanging fruit, and then I move on with my life. It's not. I do not wake up at night thinking like, oh my God, how do I squeeze out an extra 0.025% tax savings? I don't want to live that life.
Yeah. We've talked about how you really don't want to fuss over saving that dollar, but you do want to fuss over saving the $15,000, $30,000. What are the other main conversations that we need to be having around money to save those big amounts?
Okay. The concept here is you want to ask $30,000 questions, not $3 questions. And counterintuitively, most of us spend our lives asking $3 questions. Appetizers, coffee, feeling guilty about...
couponing.
Like, why? And so $30,000 questions are questions like, am I automating my savings and my investments? Meaning every single month, do I have money automatically going in? Here's a $30,000 tactic you can use right now. If you increase your savings rate 1% per year, and if you increase your investment rate 1% per year, that will be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to you. For example, if you currently save 5% of your take-home pay, and you go, okay, that's all I can afford right now. But December of this year, I'm setting up a calendar reminder, and I'm going to add 1% to make it 6%. If you do that every single year, you will have hundreds of thousands of dollars more, and you will not even feel it. 1% is so bad. Do the same for investing. That is how you gradually accumulate massive amounts of money. And you blink your eyes, and you realize, oh my gosh, it's been 3, 4, 5 years, and look at how much is in this account. That's a $300,000 question. Another one, am I paying my debt off? Let's talk about debt for a second. When I talk to people about debt, 90% of them do not know how much they owe. 95% of them do not know when their debt will be paid off. This is very simple and you need to know this. If you have credit card debt, student loan debt, mortgage debt, go online, search for debt payoff calculator, plug in your numbers. If you don't know, make the debt company tell you all the information, and then you will know the exact month and year it will be paid off. If you have something like a mortgage or a large student loan, sometimes paying $100 more per month can shave 7 years off that debt. So I want you to be able to see that. That's a $300,000 question. Other things would be your asset allocation. In other words, what is the mix of your investments? That's worth more than all the coffee you will ever buy in your life combined. So these are the kind of questions we want to ask. And there's really only about 5 or 10 of them, big wins. If you get those right, you can buy an extra dessert. You can stay for an extra night at a hotel. You never have to worry about that stuff.
For debt, I want to touch on that because I know a large portion of my audience does have debt. Obviously, I had $200,000 of debt, and for months after graduation, I did not know I had $200,000 of debt. I knew it was a lot, but I had no idea what the loans were, what the interest rates were. So my very first step was going to the government websites and figuring out what actually I had. And then you're right, that second step was figuring out when is my magical debt payoff date and how can I accelerate it so that I don't pay my student loans for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
Right? What's step 3?
Well, step 3 is to automate the money. So every month from your paycheck, you will automatically send a certain number towards your debt. You should never have to try to save money. You should never have to try to pay off debt, and you should never have to try to invest. That should happen automatically. It's like, Erica, did you try to brush your teeth today? No, you just did it. Investing is even easier. You set it up, and then it runs in the background. I think the real question of that debt and what's behind you not even knowing how much you owe is step 0, which is the emotional fear of debt. Right? When you graduate, it doesn't surprise me. You knew it was a lot. You knew it was bad. But who really wants to open up those envelopes? Nobody.
No one.
Yeah, and that's why when I meet people who are in debt, they often have envelopes really high. I get it. I have stuff in my life that whenever I get an envelope, it's bad news. I go, I don't know, man. Put it over there, and I never open it. It's not a healthy solution. So the first step is understanding that some people have debt. That's okay. Once you understand the mechanics of debt, it's often surprisingly easy to make a plan for that debt. And when I talk to people who have $100,000 in debt, $300,000, for example, in dental school debt, and they go, this is just overwhelming, like there's no possibility. And then I'll often show them, like, here are the levers you have, and you can actually accelerate this by years. It makes people feel good to know that they can take control. And most of us feel really good. Even if it's going to take 15 years, at least we know the process has begun.
What about when people come to you and say, Ramit, I don't even have enough money to put $100 aside to invest or pay off my debt each month?
Well, that's a really tough conversation. So oftentimes, if they are coming to ask for help, that's actually a great sign. Because many people aren't even ready to ask for help. And I think with your videos and your podcast and lots of others books, there's so much information, but we have to be ready. When they come, they go, I have no extra money. You talk about automation, I have no $100. I go, okay, let's take a look. So I give them a copy of my conscious spending plan. And I like that because it's 4 simple numbers. You don't need a million numbers to track. It's 4 numbers. And, they've never done this before. So they never looked at their money in this way. When they see that, first of all, they often realize, oh my gosh, I actually do have extra money. You have to understand that most of us are not robots. We're not sitting there calculating everything. I would say it's more accurate to describe us as We operate our money based on vibes. Like today it's raining. I don't know, I might want to wear that jacket. That's pretty much the way we operate with our money. It's kind of crazy. People go, what are you talking about? Right now, I talk to so many couples and they go, times are really tough. Inflation is crazy at the grocery store. You wouldn't believe it. I go, oh, really? Do you actually track how much you spent before inflation and now? They go, no. But I just, I go, that's how you're operating with money. And we need to get a little bit more rigorous. So oftentimes we will discover $100, $200, in some cases a lot more every month that they just had no idea about. If they truly have cut to the bone, there are people in that situation. The honest answer is, if they want to improve their financial situation, they've got to earn it. And I think that part of the conversation is often neglected in money. We talk so much about cutting back, but there's a limit to how much you can cut. There's no limit to how much you can earn.
What do you think people need to know when it comes to earning more?
Number one, you can. Even if you're a teacher, right? This most common thing people go, you talk about earning more, but I'm a teacher. Well, there's options too. You could become a tutor on the side. You could start a side business. You could switch professions or even industries. There's so many options, but you have to decide that earning more is important to you. Second, if you work at a job, you can negotiate your salary. Big. I was raised negotiate. I was raised in the womb negotiating. And so to be able to negotiate, you don't just walk in your boss's office and you go, hey, I'd like to have some more money. They're like, get the hell out of here. Salary negotiation is a multi-month process. Let me give you a quick version of what I would do. I would set up a meeting with my boss. I would send a note to her. I would say, I'd really like to discuss my career. I'd love to set some time aside. Can we set up 30 minutes? And you go in there, you go, I'd love to be a top performer in this role. I think I'm doing a good job based on my last week, but I'd like to do an amazing job. What do you think it would take? So you have this discussion. They might give you 10 things. You go, I'd really like to boil it down to 3 things that I can execute on and keep you updated. And I want to make your job easier. Your boss is loving this. Nobody ever says this. Everyone's always coming there asking and giving them their problems. You're going in there saying, I want to make your life easier. She's loving it. So you walk out of there with 3 crisp, I want to increase conversion rate from 1% to 1.25%, blah, blah, blah. Send her, and at the end of that conversation, you go, I'm going to work on these for the next 6 months. I'm going to keep you updated. And if I deliver on this, I'd love to discuss a compensation adjustment. But let's leave that for later. They go, all right, whatever. Sounds good to me. So you send them a written notice. You are managing up, right? And you know what it's like to manage up.
Yep.
And again, remember, how many people do this? Virtually nobody. So you send a summary. I'm excited to work on this. Now, every week or every 2 weeks, you send them an update. Friday, you say, hey, as discussed, here are the 3 KPIs. Here's what I'm working on. Here's the results so far. And at the end, let's assume you hit those numbers because you need to if you want to get paid more. You actually need to be a top performer. And you walk in and you go, you know what? I'd like to discuss the work that we planned on 6 months ago. So you sit down for a meeting. And this is where I love it. Oh my God, I love this meeting. You walk in, you say, and you pull out this briefcase. I do it theatrically, like really theatrically. It can be a folder, it can be an actual briefcase. You go, 6 months ago, we discussed these 3 KPIs. I'd like to give you some updates on it. Boom. 1% is now 1.35%, resulting in an extra $1,275,000 a year in sales, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you say, I also like to discuss compensation. Again, reach into that thing. Boom! According to my research, which you've done on Glassdoor, Indeed, Salary, and all the other places, somebody in my role, delivering my performance, would be paid $78,000. I'd like to discuss an adjustment. Now, you have really set yourself up for success. You have a very good chance of getting a raise. If you don't get that raise, you can discuss it with them. But now you know what you are worth on the open market, and you may want to consider moving to where you're paid what you're worth.
That was such a good summary of that negotiating the raise part. So I know you have some things that are your money rules that you stick to. Tell me about them.
I made a list of 10 money rules because every given day we're faced with 100 different decisions, right? Should I buy a medium or a large? Should I get 2 pizzas or 1? And at a certain point, you need to have some sort of values, some rules to guide these decisions. So as an example, I have a very simple one that's save at least 20% of gross income every year. Fine, that's kind of boring. You could adjust it for your own. That's just my rule. But I have another rule that they become really fun. So one of them is anytime I take a flight over 4 hours, business class. Now, if you're listening to this, you go, this guy's insane, or must be nice. Well, that's my rule. And so I made this rule because after flying for many years, I decided, you know what? I don't fly that often. When I do, I want it to be fun. I can afford it. And so I'm not going to sit there and agonize over, is it seat 2A or 12B? I'm just going to make a rule and it's done. So now if I'm booking flights or my assistant's booking flights, we know the exact seat, the exact plane, everything that I fly in. I made this rule.
Wait, are you paying cash?
Yeah. Or I might use points, but the best point system is having cash to get on the flight you want.
Do you think I'll ever reach that point where I'm like, oh, I'll pay $2,000 for a business class flight? Now I can't even stomach it. I don't think I could ever.
Did you see that? I like the physical reaction you just had. So 100% financially, yes, but psychologically is a different question. So if you, let me give you an example from my own life. When I used to get on planes, I would actually walk to the back of the plane, and I would laugh. Oh, stupid people sitting in the front, paying 4 times the price. We're all getting to the same place anyway. Ha ha ha. And what I should have done was to get curious. Be like, wow, if they can afford that, why are they spending it on that seat when we're all getting to the same place? I didn't understand it, and I was too closed-minded to ask the question. Mm-hmm. But you can apply that. I call it the D to C principle, from disparagement to curiosity. It's really easy to disparage eating at a fancy restaurant or wearing a certain type of clothes or whatever. You go, that's stupid. I would never do that if I had X dollars. And the truth is, you never know what you would do. So at a certain point, your values change. I love Taco Bell. Well, at least I grew up eating it. And for me, it was like, oh, I feel so good if I got this bargain, right? Taco Bell. I don't look at food that way. And I think we all change naturally in certain parts of life, but with money, we play small. Even though we may have enough to change what we eat or how frequently we travel, we often are still rooted in how we grew up. And I want everyone to think about the current season of life. Number one, what are my actual numbers? Why am I not going to be able to afford this? If not, let's not talk about it. Let's save for it. Second, if I have enough, is it important to me? What's my money now, and what do I love spending money on? And if it happens to be nice flights, good. You should spend extravagantly on the things you love, as long as you cut costs mercilessly on the things you don't.
I agree with that. What's another money rule?
Okay, another money rule I have is unlimited